So I'm going to go through week PM tools with the project initiation primarily, and then we'll spend just a couple minutes on the stakeholder management. Now, the project initiation, if you look in your Fast Forward MBA book, there is a section on page 85 all the way through page 88, and it goes through the project proposal step by step. And so you'll figure out how to fill out this form if you read those 3 pages. It literally defines project goal as number 1, problem opportunities as number 3, proposed solution as number 4. And so you will have an opportunity to understand exactly what should be going in this section. You know, what is your project goal that you have? And based on that goal, you know, what kind of a problem or opportunity is it resolving? Either a problem it's resolving or an opportunity that it's going to set you up for. And this project goal is going to be determined based on the problem or opportunity that you have and the proposed solution that you have for it. And so you want to describe, you know, what the project will do to address that problem or opportunity. And so then as you get into project selection ranking criteria, this is probably an area that maybe students understand the least, but yet this is so incredibly important for getting your project approved, especially if you're fighting for resources. Now, in a project selection and ranking criteria, what you want to do is let the decision maker know who's kind of evaluating this form and what it is that you want to do, what type of a benefit category is in this, because then they can weigh out how it's going to affect the organization long term. Is this going to actually increase revenue? And so if it's going to increase revenue by $1 million a year, I might be far more apt to approve it as the number 1 project versus something that maybe is compliance and regulatory and is only going to have a cost relative to me, but there's urgency. Or maybe an efficiency cost reduction, but it's not as much in terms of how much it will save the organization. So this allows your sponsor to determine, or whoever's approving and funding this project, that this is the reason why we're doing it, and here's the benefit category. Now, a portfolio fit and interdependency is, how does this project align with other projects the organization's pursuing and with our overall strategy as an organization? Does it fit into our strategy? Does it fit into our mission and vision? Does it fit into the goals that we're trying to pursue? And how urgent is it? How quickly do we need to attempt to do this? This allows the sponsor or the approver to really define the priority that your project will take over someone else's. Then you kind of lay out what is the cost and the benefits. We're going to list out, here's all of the tangible benefits by doing this project, and here is all of the intangible benefits by doing this project. Those will be pretty clear to you as the project manager because you're closest to the project in your organization. Then you want to look at cost categories. Now, in these cost categories, we want to be able to say, you know, how many labor hours internally, how much is it going to cost, and how much does that equal, so that you can give as much detail and definition to the decision maker as possible. Here's all of your external costs, whether it's equipment and hardware, whether it's external labor, or any other costs for traveling and training. So then you can kind of break out all of these amounts, how many hours they are, and kind of arrive at a bottom dollar so that they can say, yes, you know, this is going to cost me $20,000 out of pocket, or it's going to cost me $100,000. And it allows them, again, to make decisions on what type of a priority your project will take. Then we get into what type of a financial return there is. If it's going to increase revenue by $1 million a year, what type of overall financial return does that really mean by investing in this project that might cost $200,000 in terms of the next 10 or 15 years? Now, business requirements was probably the one that I noticed that is incomplete, as well as this project selection and ranking criteria. I often see this blank, and then I often see the business requirements blank. Now, business requirements, these are kind of enterprise or organization requirements. you want to describe the requirements from the owner or the client's perspective. Now, if I'm proposing a project to a client as I'm a consultant and I literally implement projects for their financial department to completely revamp it, whether it's the talent that they have, whether it's the resources and equipment or software, etc., or the processes. So my business requirements in something I'm proposing, if I'm coming up with a $15,000 consultation project and we're going to be in there for 4 weeks and this is what we're going to do, the client has told me exactly what it is that they are required to get out of this project. So those business requirements are going to be listed in here. They're going to describe kind of the true end state that's desired by the client. So what kind of a state do they want to be in by the time that I get done? This also gives you an opportunity to say, we have met these requirements. Our project has been successful. It's not unlike deliverables. What is it that we're really giving you at the end of the day? Now, when you get into your scope, you're going to list and describe major accomplishments required or major project activities required to meet the project goal, okay? And you want to list these out at kind of a 30,000 foot view at this point. We'll get into more detail of the scope and break it down into maybe 20 steps later or 30 steps, depending on how many you have. But right now, this is the 30,000 foot view. Then you're going to list out any major obstacles that you foresee and any major risks that you have assessed. You know, what risks do you think are going to be, more apt to happen than not? Probability is extremely high. And so you're going to describe primary obstacles to success and the known risks or threats that could cause disruption or failure in your project. Now, when you get to the schedule overview, as you had kind of a high major project activities outline here, you can drop them down into your schedule overview and talk about kind of the start date of your project, maybe major project activity 1, 2, and 3, and then kind of your project completion date. So again, this is a 30,000 foot view. You can also list some of your external milestones that might be affecting the project. When you spend that type of time on the schedule overview, it can help you when we get to the next templates in week 4 for time and scheduling. If you have any additional questions about how to fill out the proposal, please let me know. The last template that you had, and I apologize for the scrolling here, but the last template that you had in week 2, oops, I'm sorry, I have to go back one more here, was your stakeholder analysis. Now in the stakeholder analysis, you're just saying these are all of the individuals who have a stake in the project. You're going to list out every single stakeholder. And you're going to list out which stakeholder approves funding, which stakeholder, has the functional requirements or the technical requirements or makes design decisions. They approve these. And so it will help you get a feel, especially if you're operating a project over several departments. This will help everyone know exactly who's in charge of funding, authority, decision-making, etc. Then as you get down into the lower part of the sheet, you want to just list the stakeholders who have a major impact on the project, a high impact. And you just want to ask the questions. What's their contribution? Maybe we have 2 or 3 people that have a high impact on the project. What's their contribution? Who do they report to? What authority do they have? This can really help as you're crossing organizational lines and, of course, crossing authority lines, which project managers often run into resistance when we start crossing authority lines. So this helps everyone kind of understand, as well as the project manager, who is impacting this role and what is it that they're doing. So again, if you have any questions at all on the stakeholder analysis or the scope, please let me know.